Every year, there are at least a few brands that come out with some type of new gear. But this year was one of the best, with some truly impressive new gear now available to consumers. Today, we're going to talk about most, if not all, the new backpacking and hiking gear that came out in 2024. And some of it is pretty strange. So let's check it out. Now, hold on tight because we've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time, starting with the new Zpx Pivot Solo. Late last year, Zpx came out with the offset tents, and this year they have the Pivot Solo, which feels like the offset and the Duron X Mid had a baby. It's got two offset trekking pole design that is reminiscent of the Duron X Mid with some notable differences. Most obvious is one pole is slightly shorter than the other that helps save on weight, making this tent an incredible 13.5 ounces, a full 2 ounces lighter than the X Mid Pro 1 and only $10 more expensive. Now, the Pivot isn't as simple as the X Mid, requiring at least 6 stakes to pitch and is up to as many as 10 to really guy it out. But just like the offset tents of last year, I really like how Zpx is branching out and trying new designs, including fully hanging doors, single point magnetic tiebacks, all at an incredibly light weight. But it wasn't the lightest. That was reserved for the Plex Solo Lite that was redesigned earlier this year and came out at a mind-blowing 11.8 ounces, making it the lightest fully enclosed tent on the market. I talk more about it in other videos that I will link in the description below. Speaking of redesigns, the new MSR Hubba LT2 came out this year, but not a lot has changed. It appears to be the same basic design, but they ditched the composite poles for regular aluminum poles, started using a PFAS-free DWR, and gave the stuff sack a large roll-top opening. They kept the diagonal door that allows easy opening without having to fold in half like a taco, which on some tents caused problems with water dripping inside, but the older Hubba was able to avoid this with a wider crossbar. I haven't had a chance to test the LT2 in the rain just yet, but feel confident that this tent will function a lot like the previous version. Now, two of the most highly anticipated tents of the year were the Tarp Tent Arc Dome and the Duron X Dome. Unfortunately, I was not able to get access to the new Arc Dome, but did get to spend some time using a pre-production version of the new X Dome. I did a whole video on the X Dome that I will link below. That video had a mixed reception, with some people accusing me of intentionally breaking the tent to sabotage Duron gear, which I gotta admit caught me off guard a little. I think the new X Dome is one of the most innovative tents to come out in a long time, and said almost exclusively positive things about it. Still manages to beat the competition on price. I think they were the right choices. I'm not sure any of this was the tent's fault, nor was it a design flaw. Seriously. Go watch it. The one problem I had was the little aluminum rod that connects two pole sections came unglued and completely disappeared inside the pole. I was told this was a pre-production issue and that wouldn't be present in the production tents, but as tents started shipping out, more and more people started having the same problem, to the point that Duron has issued a total recall on the carbon fiber poles. I think this is great and think it highlights the incredible customer service that Dan Duron provides for his customers, but it did cause me to start thinking more and more about carbon fiber poles. So I set up a little test to see which one's stronger, carbon fiber or aluminum tent poles. I'm going to clamp the poles by their aluminum inserts and pull on each of them with a force meter until they break to see which one needs more force to break. Okay, first up, standard aluminum tent poles. And while I do that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Garage Grown Gear. Garage Grown Gear offers the largest selection of ultralight and cottage industry gear all in one place. I just felt the aluminum bend at 7.4 pounds of force. Okay, custom carbon 3.9 carbon fiber tent poles. Let's see how they do. Garage Grown Gear also sells tents that have all carbon fiber poles, like the Tarp Tent Rainbow and the Double Rainbow. Okay, super interesting. The carbon fiber broke at 5.2 pounds of force, and the carbon fiber itself actually didn't even break. It was the little aluminum sleeve that goes inside the carbon fiber that actually failed. Okay, so now I'm going to test the Easton Custom Carbon 6.3 carbon fiber tent poles. The Custom Carbon 6.3 broke at 6.7 pounds of force, and once again, it wasn't the carbon fiber that broke, but the little aluminum insert that goes inside the pole. Okay, so it looks like aluminum still reigns supreme, taking 7.4 pounds of force before it started to give. If you haven't checked out Garage Grown Gear, you really need to. Go check them out at garagegrowinggear.com or through the links in the description. Speaking of ultralight, Atotech recently came out with their new Ultralite Bear bag that has been certified as grizzly bear resistant by the Interagency Grizzly Bear Committee. This is basically a new alternative to the earth sack. It's a way to keep your food reasonably safe from bears without having to hang it. I did a whole video last year about why I think hanging food is a pointless endeavor that I will link in the description below. This bag is the lightest bear resistant bag at just 6.7 ounces. It's made out of really thick Dyneema and has put up some pretty good resistance to bears. Who knew the Dyneema was so tough? Now, I haven't had a chance to test this just yet, but I've got some ideas that hopefully I'll get to sometime next year. Next, we have the absolute lightest puffy in existence. This is the Black Diamond Deploy hoodie that comes in at just 5 ounces, which is less than half your standard puffy jacket. Now, to achieve this, they had to make some sacrifices, like there are no pockets on this thing, only a half-length zipper, and they use 1000 fill power down. That is the lightest, fluffiest down available. The only downside, it's not cheap at a whopping $395, but hey, light ain't cheap. Now, how about the lightest of the lightweight air pumps? You may have thought that the Flextail Zero was the lightest, but two cottage brands have come out with even lighter options, the Pad Pal and the Alpenblow. Both of these pumps are very similar, consisting of a small cooling fan that are powered by your battery bank. They take a little while to air up your mattress, and neither will get it all the way inflated, but they will get you to within 1 or 2 breaths. The Alpenblow is slightly lighter at just 8 grams compared to the Pad Pal's 9, and the Alpenblow is a little bit quieter at just 70 decibels compared to the Pad Pal's 80 decibels at its lowest setting and 100 plus decibels at its highest setting. But if you want to air up the thickest, cushiest backpacking mattress I've ever used, it's going to take you a little bit more time because this thing is 4.6 inches thick. This is the Thermarest Neo Loft, and usually I'm pretty critical of Thermarest's comfort. The thin horizontal baffles just don't have enough give, but this may be the very first Thermarest mattress that I actually love. This thing is so thick and so comfortable. I've never really appreciated Thermarest mattresses because of the way they do their baffles, but because this thing is so thick, you can dial it in with as much air as you want or as little air as you want to make this thing super comfortable. It's heavy, but man, I love this thing. The downside is the weight. The regular wide is just 2 ounces shy of 2 pounds, which is pushing the limits of what I'm willing to carry in my pack. And it's pricey at $260. But if comfort and luxury are your main concerns, you're not going to find a lighter, more comfortable pad than this. And as the temperatures start dropping colder and colder, you're probably going to want something that can keep you warm well below freezing. And Zimu literally has you covered with their new -5-degree bed. If you follow this channel much at all, then you know I love Zimu and have been using their unique bed system every chance I get for the better part of the last 3 years. On top of that, they recently asked me to do some paid testing that will ultimately influence some of their product development. That video should be coming out sometime in January. And so for those who aren't already familiar, Zimu is a unique sleeping bag alternative that feels more like your bed at home. It's got a full sheet with a hood, but instead of getting inside it, it goes over the top of you like a blanket. And this new system is basically the same thing as their other beds, but really, really fluffy, so it can handle some really cold temperatures. Not many quilts are rated for temps this cold, and so if you get it, be sure to pair it with a sleeping pad of an R value of around 7 or higher. This year, we saw some of the biggest advancements in satellite technology with the iPhone satellite messaging and the new Garmin inReach Plus that can send photos and voice messages. I have a longer video that I'll link in the description below, but the short version is, while Apple still has a long way to go on making their service reliable, you can't beat their price. And the strangest new piece of gear in 2024 is the Dysonus exoskeleton. Maybe it was all the sci-fi that I've watched in my life, but I was really intrigued by this and excited to try it out. When you put it on, you can really feel the motors pushing and pulling your legs as you hike, and logically, I know it has to be reducing the amount of energy required to hike, but in use, I'm not sure I can actually tell a difference. Okay, I just ended up hiking up a pretty good little incline, and I cannot tell that the exoskeleton is doing anything at all. With that on top of the noise that it makes and the fact that it's just a dead weight once the battery dies, I'm not sure that exoskeletons are going to catch on anytime soon. But with Arc'teryx coming out with their own exoskeleton pants sometime next year, maybe it'll catch on with people who are going to the mall. Okay, so that's not everything that came out in 2024, but it's a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and do all those other things. And as always, thanks for watching.